How's it going, guys? Heroic Concepts here today. And before we get started, man, please, please hit the like button, please. Like, seriously, I'm just now realizing, after watching a few YouTube videos, how important that is. Like, this content cannot spread without your support. So before we go before we go further, could you guys just hit the like button? Please hit it. Let's try to aim for at least 200 likes. I know it's a small channel, but help me out, y'all. Just hit the like button before we get started here, okay? Today I got a story for y'all, man. And this is interesting because the timing, this was right before, or right actually in the midst of me really seeking God, that it was a nail in the coffin. I knew I never wanted to go back to the world and the lies of the world, and just, it just kind of showed me that life really is vanity. And I know that sounds kind of vague. I'm gonna get into detail, but just stick with me, man. I got a story about a friend of mine, a rich friend. And this dude, I met him downtown randomly while I was just out by myself, some hookah spot in downtown. I seen this dude. He got, he's dressed like he's not from the United States, meaning extra fashion. He was like super fashionable. And he had like this girl with him who didn't look like she was from the States either. She was Brazilian. I could tell just how she was dressed and the way she carried herself and all that. And anyway, we were in the same lounge, and they were short for space, but he's like, hey man, he noticed me. He's like, hey, you want to have some champagne? They all, this dude bought champagne. He was just kind of being generous. So I was like, all right, it's free, sure, why not? So, I had some champagne, and anyway, long story short, we became friends from there, and we kept in touch over time. And in the midst of our friendship, he would check in, and eventually he would reveal to me that him and his girlfriend broke up, and he was his fiance, and they were supposed to get engaged. And he was telling me, hey man, well, I'm going to be back in Orlando because, I just want to come down. I'm going to rent this huge suite. We're going to have a good time all weekend long, man. Just, are you down? Are you going to, I was like, yeah, this is at the time too. This is when I first started going to church, and I was really trying to look for the Lord. So at this point in my life, the way I would get through the week was I think I had this ultimate goal of being this family man and all this, but in the meantime, I was like, well, I still have this void on the inside of myself, and the way that my bad, hold on, I'm playing this Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse 2 game right now, so something just caught me off guard, my bad. Anyway, at this time, I was seeking God, and I knew I had I was self-aware about the fact that I was self-aware about myself in a sense that I knew I'm a very simple man. I'm not somebody who needs to have extravagant things to, achieve some super large goal in life, or have some certain level of status to feel fulfilled on the inside. Or at least for me, I knew I was like, look, I just want to be a family man. So it was more about finding the right girl so I can leave behind a legacy. That was my ultimate goal. I wanted to leave a legacy behind in the form of a child. And that was my own, to me at the time, that was the big goal. Because, when you don't know if there's a God or not, and this is your only life to live, you're like, okay, well, what's most important to me as a man? And I guess basically my ego. I mean, if I'm just being honest about it, of course I wouldn't say that if you asked me at the time, but if I'm really breaking it down and looking inside, it's like, well, let me just work on myself, get myself to a certain level. And, I want to raise a family, but it's also because there was some sort of chip on my shoulder, I think, to prove that I could do it, and I felt like I could be good at it, and I just thought I'd be good enough to be a father for some reason. Anyway. So my friend's in town. He wants to hang out all weekend and try to go pick up girls. And I'm like, all right, whatever. You know, it should be fun. I'm not paying for any of it. He's rich. He wants to pay for it. I'm like, cool. Good time for free. Why not? And I never stayed at 54 West. And for those of you who don't know, you can Google it. It's like in Orlando, downtown. It's like one of the it's one of the highest apartment complexes downtown. It's like, you know, and he got the room, the top suite, so you could see over the whole city. It's a beautiful view. And I was like, just for the experience, I'll go. But anyway, so I got some notes here because there was some. I knew I was gonna be all over the place. So let me try to see where I want to start here, man. I'm just like an organized mess here. Okay, so anyway, this whole weekend we're hanging out. You know, had a good time. You know, he introduced me to some girl he was talking with, and you know, my thing was I wasn't really thirsty to go out and pick up girls because I kind of had, you know, and keep in mind, guys, this is before Christ Andy, okay? This is Andy BC, all right, 2018 Andy, where, you know, even though I didn't really talk about it much in prior videos, I was always hanging out with girls because I just needed to have a rotation. So to prevent me from being needy, because to be honest with you, whether, you know, and a lot of dudes in a similar situation, they won't tell you, but they're thirsty. So to keep your thirst in line, you got to have a rotation of girls, or at least one or two that you can see regularly. This is the way I was at the time. So I wasn't hanging out with him, but I didn't really care. I wasn't, you know, I didn't have that kind of, again, and that helps when you're out looking for girls if you don't have that thirsty kind of attitude, but you don't have that internal thirst, but you still feel a void inside, which is why you need the girls in the first place. But anyway, so the first night we just hung out, we had some dinner, we had some drinks, we had a good time. But he was like, yeah, man, you know, the second night I wanted to just go out with the guys, you know, and he introduced me to one of his other friends. Dude was, he was an interesting guy, man. But you could tell, you know, this guy was on some kind of drugs regularly. Like, this dude was just a little too, like, you know, eyes always wide open. You could tell he was on some kind of drug. And I felt, honestly, man, looking back, like, I hope that dude's okay, man. Because dude was always bugged out, a lot of energy, but you could tell it was just that cocaine energy, man. It wasn't natural. So he was hanging out with us. He was all right, man. He was a cool dude. You know, he's just one of those people into that whole, you know, meditation and like, you know, just like a lot of hippy dippy kind of talk. You know what I mean? Like one of those kind of guys, like a free spirit type of dude or whatever. And I was like, okay, I hear what you're saying. You know, we talk about things or whatever. But anyway, second night, this dude wants to hang out with the boys. And it's mostly just me and him the whole day, me and my friend. And this dude's just buying, you know, we're stopping at different shops, having drinks, you know, just talking about things. And eventually, you know, nighttime comes around. It's 11 o'clock. He's like, man, you know, like, I guess he got kind of hung up on, you know, at first he wanted to just hang out with the guys. Then I guess he was trying to have that girl from the night before come along that he was hanging out with. And I guess she flaked on him or something. And it's 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, yo, what do you want to do? He's like, well, what's there to do, man? What are your ideas? I'm like, well, you know, for me, whenever I would go downtown, back when I used to do that kind of thing, I would just go to a bar. There's beautiful girls all over the streets. And this dude, you know, I guess this particular day, because this girl flaked on him, he got in his head. And he was feeling down about himself. And just to kind of like do a little side note here, this is kind of the crux of what I'm getting at. I don't know if that's the right word to what I'm trying to say. This is the core of what I'm getting at here. Is that this dude, in a way, reminded me of myself. Especially as I'm on this journey of trying to seek God and figure out my faith and figure out if it's God's real or he's not real and all of this stuff. And the reason I was seeking all of this is because I knew on some level everything in this world was vanity. As I said before, as somebody who's a very simple man, who's pretty much experienced everything he's wanted to experience, I knew there had to be something more, because nothing in this world would be internally satisfying for good. It would be a good time, but eventually it'd get stale. I'm watching this same sort of sickness. That's what I like to say what it is, because it's true. It is a sickness. I'm seeing the same sickness manifest in another person who is a good-looking dude. He's a little, older than, he's a little bit older. He's like, he was 38 or no. Just about, I think he just turned 40. But, good-looking guy, wealth, I don't know if he's wealthy, but he's making a lot of money, has a great product, a dude, just a quick little backstory. He grew up from Orlando. That's why he visits from time to time. His parents still live here. But he grew up poor, created a great product, got rich. I don't want to put his business out there. That's why I'm not going to talk about what he did. But still, he was a very insecure individual. He had told, and basically, this dude, getting played. I guess when he was in Orlando, he'd date, get played, or I don't know if he got cheated on, or he was disappointed running into the same kind of girl, I guess. And instead of seeing himself, kind of self-examining himself to see what kind of flaws he might have had, he was putting the blame on other people. Saying, oh man, I'm doing these loving things for other people and they keep taking advantage of me, and girls here in America, he was one of those kind of guys. Like, the girls in America are all, self-entitled and this, that, and the other, which, in a general sense, if you're talking about women who are in the world who are selfish naturally like the rest of us, they're, unless they really like you, they're going to take advantage of you. So his solution to this, to get away from these American women, he's like, I moved to Brazil, and and they're the most beautiful women, and they love you for who you really are out there. And I was like, when he told me that, I was like, you could believe that if you want. I don't believe that, but you could believe that if you want. I get what he's saying. Culturally, they're different. Maybe they're more appreciative and they're a little more down to earth, but don't think that, an American goes down there and a girl who's looking for a come up isn't going to act extra friendly with you. Like, don't play yourself. But anyway, this is where this guy was internally. He was very well dressed on the outside. He even spent, dude told me he spent, and I don't want to talk about like this. Like, I'm just saying, I'm telling you things to kind of help give you a picture of like this dude internally, but just by his actions. He would spend like 20 grand on veneers, just fake teeth, because I guess he had jacked up teeth, and he went out there and spent all this money. He was just a very insecure guy trying to dress himself up on the outside, by reaching a certain level of success. You know how it is. You try to wear nice clothes, you get new teeth, you get a new little hairdo, you get like your beard, all cool, and you just try to take care of yourself. I get it. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm just saying, man, it was just trying to cover up this void inside. And what I noticed with this particular dude, going back to the story now, sorry for the little sidebar there, he was in his head because that girl flaked on him. And what I didn't tell y'all was that he told me the night before he was trying to get me to take an ecstasy pill. He's like, yo, you never did X before? I was like, nah, I don't do that stuff. Like, I'd never been a pill popper back in those lost days. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never did that. I did smoke a little weed here and there, which was rare for me. I was a drinker. That was my thing. So anyway, but this night he's like, yo, man, just try half of it. I'm like, well, what happens if you take this pill? Because I don't want to be like hugging trees and doing weird stuff, bro. I've seen people do weird things online when they take those kind of pills, because I never ran in circles with people who popped a lot of pills, so I don't know how people behave like that. So anyway, he's like, well, here, just take half, man, you'll be straight. You just be a little more friendly. That's all that happens. I was like, all right, whatever. I knew the dude. I've hung out with him before. Trustworthy dude. At least he seemed trustworthy to me. It wasn't a threat. So I was like, all right, I'll take the pill, whatever. So later on in the night, I take half this pill, and we're out. And before I took this pill, this whole day, we're eating, we had lunch, we were, visiting almost every bar in downtown Orlando, having shots, drinking beers, you know what I'm saying? And this dude was paying for everything, man. Just being a real generous dude. Really, really generous, man. Just likes to take care of his friends, good dude. He only let me pay like one time. They straight up. I was like, no, I got this, man. Don't worry about it. You know, I don't see you a lot. I'm rarely ever in town. Just let me show you a good time. You know, you're my boy, whatever. So, so it's 11 o'clock. We're going out. Last minute plans. I'm on this. I take half an ecstasy pill. I'm like, look, I don't know, man. You know, and by the way, I wasn't feeling it by this point, but I was just telling him, like, I don't know. I mean, normally you come up with these plans earlier, so now we're going to have to do, we're going to have to throw a Hail Mary pass here and just kind of see what's out there, and the only thing that's out downtown at 11 o'clock is clubs. And actually, what I wanted to do, we were going to different bars, but he didn't want to stay in bars. He wanted to sit down and just have girls come to him. And I'm like, well, bro, you just talk, strike up a conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot cheaper. You know, the girls either like you or they don't. I'm thinking this dude's a good looking dude. He's got money. He's got all you got to say to a lot of the girls at the time was, look, we got this big suite at 54 West. Come hang out. We could get some drinks at the store, get some beers and some liquor, if that's what he wanted to do. But he's like, no, man. Like, we went to a couple of bars and he didn't want to stand still. He just kept wanting to move around. Me and his other friend, the friend from the day before that was all coked up, he was out hanging out too. And that dude's just a social butterfly, dancing around, being one of those kind of dudes. It's a fun guy. Anyway, this dude, my friend, was just like, nah, man, let's just go do VIP somewhere. And my thing is, when I hear VIP, in my mind, I just see a huge amount of money being taken out of my bank statement. Like I just feel like I'm checking my bank statement and I see a lot of money missing the next morning. Like, I don't do VIP ever. Maybe someone's birthday, I might chip in for a bottle. I'm super cheap when it comes to, if the goal, back when I was living this lifestyle, remember, BC, Andy, okay? Andy, BC. If the goal is to get girls, you can do that a lot cheaper by just going and talking to girls. Go approach them. This dude was like, I'm just not, I'm in my head. I took this ecstasy pill. He took an ecstasy pill too, and it wasn't helping him, and he was drinking, and it just wasn't helping. He was just stuck in his head. He wasn't loose. He was acting weird and being, just whatever. So he wants to do VIP. He wants to get bottle service. He wants to create this show and put on this performance to attract the girls to us. So then they can, I guess you can game them there or whatever. So I'm like, look, whatever, man, you're paying. That's what you want to do. And I didn't know, keep in mind too, we'll get into what he actually paid later on. That's later on in the story. Anyway, so we go to this spot, okay? We pay for VIP. As soon as we walk in, it's amazing too. This is something too for a lot of you young guys who are living this lifestyle, and you're going doing the whole town. You're doing the downtown bar hopping, club hopping thing. VIP bottle service girls. Let me tell you something. Those girls are trained. They know how to sniff out a thirsty man with money. Okay? They can spot them from a mile away. So, trust me, if a girl, especially a bar, look, you would think this is, and I got to be fair, because I got to remember I'm older and have experience in some of these things that appear to be common sense. Sometimes, man, look, especially when you're under the influence, you're going to do some dumb things, but don't ever be this dumb. If it's a bartender, if it's a bottle service girl, they're sharks, okay? They're sharks, and they can smell blood in the water, okay? Don't be walking in there bleeding, okay? Don't be walking into a club or talking to no bartender while you're hurting, okay? Because they can see and they will exploit you, all right? So we go into this spot. This one of the VIP bottle service girls with her boobs up to her chin. A very beautiful girl, beautiful Asian girl, just, very sexy, dressed very, very provocative outfit and all that. So I was telling him, hey, yeah, well, I don't know what conversation they're having, but I guess he just wants to do bottle service. And apparently, later on, while we're all in VIP, I have a conversation with this girl. And, I'm just kind of getting to gauge to see if there's, if she's a kind of bottle service girl who will allow herself, or like, let me just see. I'm just seeing if she feels me or she was feeling my friend. Just kind of having a conversation, and you could tell she's like, "Nah, I'm just here making some money." And she was just like, "Here, you know what? Why don't you take my number? You know what I'm saying?" And she gives me her number, but I noticed she puts a number. I'm not going to put her name out there, but she just, let's say her name's Jacqueline. She puts Jacqueline VIP in my contacts, which, to break that down for y'all, means go put my name out there. Get some of your other thirsty friends to come in here and spend some money and take care of me and my other bottle service girls. Just I'll treat you guys nice, but just make sure you understand this is a business relationship. This isn't going anywhere. I don't actually like you. I don't actually want you to call me because we're not going to hang out. It's just one of those kind of things. So I immediately knew that, right? My friend, on the other hand, he's like, yeah, she gave me her number, but she's, and he's like, she's feeling me, but she's gonna hang out with me after this is over. Like, we're gonna hang out with her and all the other bottle service girls. They're gonna keep the club open for us, right? So I'm like, oh, really? That's what's gonna happen? I was like, oh, well, hey, you're paying for everything, so whatever, right? Anyway, we're doing, all the bottles are coming out. You know what I'm saying? You got the fireworks around the bottles and all this other stuff, putting on a big show, obviously, so my friend can show off. So show off and hopefully attract other girls, and they come in and they sit down with us and hopefully come back to the hotel, because that's what he wanted. He wanted to bring back a bunch of girls. So while all this is going on, his other friend, the social butterfly dude who's coked up, he's just over here tap dancing all over the place and, being extra. He's a fun dude though. I don't want to make fun of the dude. He's a fun time, but I felt bad for him though, man. He really needed some help though. It's like, anyways, I'm sorry. Be focused here. So I noticed the guy the friend who does coke, he had some friends some girlfriends he knew that lived in the same building as him, because he actually happens to live downtown. So one of the girls come and she had some girlfriends with her, and they sit in VIP, and we're having a conversation with them. Then all of a sudden I see some other girls come in, but I see like 3 other dudes standing on the outside of our VIP section wanting to come in. So I'm looking at the girls, and I see one of them signal to her guy friends, like, hey, come grab a drink. They're not looking. Yeah, you could come in here and start drinking their alcohol or their bottle or whatever. Yeah, go ahead. I'm looking at them, I'm like, my friend's not paying attention to this. The other dude's not paying attention. And, the way I was just being overprotective. I'm like, the guys look at me like trying to smile like they're cool. Like, hey, man, what's up? Like, and I'm just ice cold grilling them. Like, what are y'all doing? And they're like, oh, hey, what's wrong with you, man? We're just trying to, I'm like, this is for girls only. Y'all can't come here and get no free drinks. What do you think this is, man? And like, I was really like, and again, remember, by this time, this is where let me just kind of backtrack here. So remember, I took that ecstasy pill. By this point, I was all lovey-dovey and friendly, but that moment, I guess the way I showed love was by being extra. I demonstrate love by being protective. I protect my friends and whoever I'm with. Like, I get very, very protective. And I took that, the way these dudes were acting, like you're trying to take advantage of my friend when his back's turned, and I'm not going to let y'all do that. So, I scared them away, but with scaring the guys away, the girls left with them. There's some of the girls left. And the dude, the guy, who was on coke or whatever, he's like, hey, man, you're messing up the vibe, man. Just like loosen up, man. Just chill out. I'm like, bro, we're not going to let these guys take advantage of Ken like that. You know what I'm saying? My friend's name, the other dude. And he's just like, whatever. Anyway, so long story short, the end of the night happens, right? My other friends over here, you know what else too, man? Let me just say this too. There's just something else that happened. So while we're all in VIP, some random girl just kind of, she's drunk and just stumbles into VIP, and she's sitting on the couch, and she starts kind of like falling asleep on the couch. And I was just kind of like, some of the bouncers come up and they're like, hey man, you want us to get her out of here? And I'm like, well, hold on, man. Let me just like talk to her, see if she's okay, so I can, get her back to her girlfriends or something. Because I don't know where the hell this girl came from. Like, let's at least throw her out in the streets. Like, let me talk to her and see if we can find where her friends are. So I'm talking to her and she's crying. She's like, hey, I'm lost. I think my friends left me here. And my other friend, my friend Ken, the dude with the money, he goes, hey man, get this girl out of here. I was like, all right, well, hold on a second. Yeah, man, she's messing up the vibe. Get her out of here. And I understood, like, the whole reason he got VIP was to kind of cast his net and catch fish. But I was concerned. I'm on this ecstasy pill too. On top of that, I was like, well, look, okay, I'll get her out of here, man, but just chill out. Let me go and get the girl to her friends. So I tried to, eventually I got the girl reconnected with her friend group. And then, I come back and my friend's over here all, he's looking all upset. And he comes to me and says, hey man, go out there and go get me some girls, man. Go get some girls and bring them back. He's like, I paid for this. Go get the girls and bring them back. I was like, and at this time he told me this. And the thing was, I think I was trying to be understanding, which is why my first impulse wasn't to become argumentative or like come back at him like, yo, why are you talking to me like that, bro? Like, what's the matter with you? I was like, this dude's frustrated, man. And you know what? He did pay for this. I'm going to ignore him. He's tripping right now. Let me go out there and try to get some girls for him. So, a lot of the girls, it was a dry night that night at the club. And I was just trying to, he took me out. Again, he showed me a good time throughout the day. I felt like I owed it to him. But it was a dry night. It happens, man. Anyway, so the night's over. And this girl told him, the VIP bottle girl, Jacqueline, was like, she had promised him that she was going to hang out with him after the fact, that he was going to, and the way they say it too, like, oh yeah, well, I guess at the time I didn't know this, but she had told him, oh, well, yeah, you get VIP, you guys come hang out with us afterwards. But, like in a real seductive way, you guys come hang out with us afterwards, let's see what happens. Me and my girls come to your apartment at 54 West afterwards. And he bought right into that. Okay, now, remember earlier when I said that she gave me her number, and I knew she was just, trying to play us. But he really thought, because he had money, that he could just, I guess, and again, I'm not saying that this doesn't happen, it does. But you can't buy everybody. But I'm noticing this about him in this moment, man. I'm like, bro, this is America, bro. This girl... Anyway, so we're in VIP. We're with... This girl isn't even there, right? So this end of the night, the girl leaves. And she ain't responding to his text messages. But there are the other bottle service girls there. So, I'm just there not really... Just talking to people, man. Just having a good time. And my friend's getting upset. My rich friend or whatever, he's just like... Oh, are you just going to just talk to everybody here? You're not trying to like there was some dude there talking about music. So I'm having a conversation with him about music and, we're laughing, having a good time. We're just going to talk to dudes, man. It's like, bro, just chill out. I'm being social, man. Go be social. So, go talk to the girls. There's plenty of girls here. I'm talking to some of these girls here, but they're bottle service girls. That's why I wanted to tell him. I didn't want to be mean at the time. And I'm over here on this ecstasy pill and I'm drunk and I'm just like, just whatever, man. I'm in this, and again, this ecstasy, again, I didn't, here I got to backtrack again real quick. So I took half a pill earlier. I didn't really feel it. I had another half of a pill. I took the other half, and that kicked in, man. I was like, people can see it in me, and I've never done this before, and I never will do it again. And it wasn't a bad experience, but I'm just not a pill popper type, but like my pupils are dilated. People knew I was on something. They could just tell by looking at me in the eyes. And I'm just laughing about it now because it must have been like I can just imagine seeing that like seeing myself while I'm sober, just kind of like, what an idiot. Like, what, you know, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It was a fun time. But anyway, now I got to finish the rest of the story. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. I'm not saying I'm not endorsing this at all. I'm just telling y'all. I just want to tell an entertaining story here. So yeah, the bottle service girls just weren't going for it. They played him. And we're walking, you know, so I'm like, all right, well, eventually we decided to get out of here. However, remember how I mentioned the other friend, the friend, the cokehead friend who was there. I don't want to say that's wrong. Let me give him a name. His name was, let me make up a name here. John. Okay, John had brought a friend with him that lived in the same building earlier, and she was hanging out with us. Just a regular girl, cool girl, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, we're all going back to the apartment, and I'm like, well, I guess this was just a bust, man. And I mean, I'm thinking we could have just stayed at the bars, but you wanted to come do this. You wanted to show out with the bottles and all this, that, and the other. And I'm like, oh, it just didn't pan out, man. And I'm thinking, you know, oh, whatever. You know, you probably spent $200 on a bottle or something. I don't know. I don't pay for VIP, so I don't know what he spent. Or close, probably at least 500. I was thinking was the most. But anyway, we get back to the house. I remember there was 3 things that happened at the house that were really just kind of eye-opening to me. And I don't want to say like a whole, like use the word revelation, but just reassuring how done I was with this life. And I mean, you see, I'm looking at my friend in this unique experience, and I'm seeing, well, hold on, let me get back to this. Sorry, guys. Sorry to be all over the place. I'm just trying to remember this on the fly. I know I got some notes here. Actually, that would help. I should have stuck with that. Blah blah blah. Scared. Okay. So first things first. We're just all hanging out at the house. We're just having conversations about, I don't even remember what we're having. Man, I'm high and I'm drunk. I don't remember exactly what we're talking about, but I do remember this. His friend, oh no, my friend, the rich friend of mine, he was, you know, we're all having a conversation, and he starts having this dialogue with this girl who's there. She's like, hey, if you had to pick one of us, who would you pick? And I was like, okay, and I'm thinking this is, you know, he's putting the girl in an uncomfortable kind of position because no one was really trying to compete for her, because I knew he was upset. I knew he just wanted to hook up with a girl, and I was like, I'm not going to compete with you because this girl, you know, 1, I'm not attracted to her. 2, I don't really feel the need to do this. And 3, you're really trying to have sex tonight. Like, you're really thirsty for it. And, you know, I was just trying to be a bro. I was trying to make it easy and not do anything. But he's putting this girl in this position where he's asking her uncomfortable questions, and she's like, well, I mean, you know, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, look, whatever, I have nothing to do with this conversation. I was just talking in general, and then this dude comes out of left field with this question. Just having a regular, friendly, casual conversation. And she's like, well, I mean, I would probably say, you know, I'm more into guys, like my friend's a white dude. She's like, I'm more into white dudes, a taller white dude, so I would get with you. You know, I would say, I think I find you the most attractive. And I'm just like, all right, cool. So y'all keep talking, y'all, you know, y'all connect, and whatever happens, happens. If it clicks, it clicks. But he just kind of, you know, he already had an advantage, but the thing is, this dude, bro, like, he just kept digging a hole for himself. But then after that, right, so he starts talking to me about something, and he goes, yo, man, you know what, man? Like, I don't remember what exactly he was trying to get me to do, but he was trying to get me to, you know, do something. Like, put on a performance, or how do I, just not a performance, but like, he was trying to order me around again. Trying to, you know, hey, Andy, you know that thing that you always do? Do that, man. Do it, man. I asked you to do it. Just do it, man. Kind of like, I don't remember what it was, but just that attitude behind whatever it was he was asking me to do. And I had to check him. I was like, listen, man, you know, the reason we're friends is because you know I'm not the kind of guy that you're going to be ordering around and I'm going to be your tap dancing monkey. I know you know, and I didn't want to get into a confrontational kind of thing with him because he's my friend and I knew he was hurting. But like the fact that he was talking to me like that, I was really like, I had to really be like, hey, look, man, I'm not the kind of guy that you're going to be ordering around like this, bro. I don't know what's going on with you, man, but don't, you know, you got to stop talking, you know, stop telling me I need to do something or whatever. He said, no, man, you know, you're right. I'm sorry, man. That's why you're right. That's why I know you're the kind of guy who doesn't tolerate that kind of stuff. And that's why we're friends and I respect you and blah, blah, blah. You know, we had that drunken, you know, bro hug and we hashed things out or whatever. And anyway, then out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying? He starts having this conversation, goes back to talking to this girl and he tells her, hey, randomly out of left field again. No, she goes, hey, you know, it's getting late, man. It's almost like 6 in the morning. I got work at like 8 o'clock. And he goes, let me ask you a question. How much do you make in a day? And she's like, you know, honestly, probably, you know, a little over $100 for work. He goes, how about I pay you $400 right now? And, you know, you pick either me or one of my friends and, you know, you hook up. And I'm like, I'm looking at him, I'm looking at the girl, I'm looking at John. I'm like, did he really just ask this girl that? Now, I know look, man, I'm just going to share something with y'all. Like, there are girls who go for that kind of stuff. It's sad. There's a lot of girls who don't value themselves that for $400, oh yeah. They'll jump at $400 to go for just to sleep with somebody for one night for a hookup. But this is some random girl who's friends with his friend. You know what I mean? This is like a friend that his friend regularly hangs out with and they're like cool. And I mean, that was just a disrespectful question, man. And I'm like, bro, you're tripping right now, man. And anyway, I was like, y'all, you know, and I just walked away from that. And his friend John walked outside with me and, you know, he just starts talking. He's got this control issue, man. He just needs to control things. And I was like, yeah, I noticed he kind of was like trying to order me around and what he's doing with that girl, bro. I mean, and he's really trying to like do a sales pitch, man. Like he was there for a good 20 minutes. And I was like, just let it go, man. You know, and I understand I didn't understand why he was so eager to hook up with somebody that night till the following morning. Because what ended up happening is she was like, no, I'm not doing that. And she ended up just, you know, her and her friend John, which by the way, before we finish this story and go on to what happened in the morning, this dude John randomly tries to pick a fight with me out of the blue. Because he's on coke and he's just like out of nowhere just mad at me about something. I guess he was mad about what happened earlier at the club. I don't know, man. And I'm just looking at this dude like, he just out of nowhere, like we're talking eye to eye, and all of a sudden he just does like this fake shadow boxing thing in front of my face. And I'm like, and it kind of like, you know, when he's doing the shadow boxing thing, his hand kind of like grazes my face a little bit. And I'm like, yo, chill out, man. You almost hit me. What are you doing? And then all of a sudden I look in his eyes and he's like serious, trying to like look at me like he really wants to fight me. And I'm like, yo, are you okay? What's wrong with you? You know, so anyway, then he snaps out of it. Then he runs to the bathroom and throws water on his face. And then he just like comes out, apologizes to me, and you know, the other girl's there still because this dude's trying to pay her for sex. And he's like, hey, you know, I'll walk you home. Come on, let's go home. You know, so I'm just like, this is weird. I'm like just realizing these are people, like I'm hanging around, you know, again, this is where I'm going with all of this. I'm realizing in a situation, this is exactly why I started going to church. This is exactly why I'm trying to figure out this whole God thing. Because I know this is like this is an isolated, crazy scenario. But I'm just trying to show you, I'm looking at the core, I can see the core issue of why these people are behaving this way, why these ugly character traits are manifesting on these people. And yes, because they're on drugs, but outside of that, this is revealing what's really in their heart. It's revealing the lack on the inside. Okay? Now, let's go on to what happens in the morning. So, in the morning time, you know, I remember, again, I was in this suite, the top of 54 West, looking at this beautiful view. And I remember at the time, you know, I was dating this, well, I wouldn't say, I don't want to use the word dating. That's a huge wasn't dating. We would just, it's a girl that I would regularly hook up with when I was still empty on the inside and just, you know, whatever. I'm just keeping it real for the sake of the story. She ends up coming over and we end up hooking up or whatever. And eventually my friend wakes up and the first thing he says to me, he's like, man, I'm so, I guess he got sick from drinking so much. And this dude's just on the toilet, man, just sick, straight up. And he ends up telling me, man, I spent $3,000 last night. And I look at this dude, I said, you spent what? He said, I spent $3,000 last night on VIP, on the bottle service. And immediately my heart, bro, it sunk. You know why? Because had I known, because even though he was, through money, this dude grew up poor, and he's a hardworking dude, and I could just tell there was something inside of him that, or something about him that after he got money, hey, you just throw money at things and things go your way. And this was a situation where that just didn't happen. He got played, man. He got played. And even though he was, acting kind of disrespectful, I understood. Again, I was at least understanding enough at the time to know that he was just in a bad mood and whatever. But I can't believe I let a friend spend that kind of money. Now, I know he's got money. So $3,000, whatever, he'll make it back like nothing. But still, you could tell by the way he was acting, I guess that $3,000 hurt him. You know what I'm saying? That was hurting him, hurting his pockets a little bit. And that explains why he was so thirsty, overly thirsty. And, I just remember, man, like, thinking about the life that people go through, man. The reason we do all these things, man, we do these drugs, or we go on these wild adventures and spend all this money and do wild things and whatever. It's all just a way to try to find a good time and just fill this void inside, man. This internal bucket with a hole on the bottom, and we just want to keep pouring into it to a point where, you know what, we allow our addictions to run our lives, man. And this dude was just like, I'm addicted to control. When I pay for something, I expect results. I expect to get my way. And I mean, I'm assuming he buys his friends like that, like, and we're still friends to this day because, again, I had to let him know, like, he respects me for that, and he was tripping, man. And, he probably knew it. But I just knew in that moment that even though his situation was different from mine, and I knew I had a little more wisdom, obviously, than he did when it came to discerning people, just kind of learning how to read people and knowing when someone's playing you and when they're actually just truly interested in you and you have a shot. I can see, I can see myself in his shoes doing something similar because, again, the root issue is the same for everybody. This life is a lie, and it's amazing how we can kind of get caught up in all this, where we get to a point where once we climb this ladder of life of status and money and things of that nature, even though we're doing all this stuff to help, better our lives, we're never dealing with the root issue. And this is why we end up just spinning our wheels, man. Trying to find this internal satisfaction. And you know, trust me, I know this is just one isolated story, but I'm not going to put this dude's business out there. But even in his other relationships, you would see that. Just always trying to work hard to be worthy of love, man. Just ending up in bad relationships and doing reckless things. And, you know, our default is thirst. Even those of us who have abundance, the only reason I wasn't as thirsty as that dude was because I had girls in Orlando that I could see regularly, but I was still a thirsty guy at my core. You take those girls away from me, I'm thirsty and needy. And so was he. When you took his control away, when his money just wasn't working, you saw just what he was willing to do, man. Like pay off a girl. I mean, throwing money at a girl, just a regular girl who just works for a living. Like, hey, you know what? You're a skank. Here's some money. Sleep with me and one of my friends. Like, just straight up. I'm like, bro, that don't work for everybody, man. And the fact, I mean, and then on top of that, that was a girl that his friend liked too, by the way. That's another thing I forgot to tell y'all. So the dude, John, that girl that he was hanging out with, he actually liked her. And this dude was just like, I don't care, I'm buying her, man. Screw you. Just that kind of attitude. And I'm just saying, man, life is vanity, bro. It's all vain. And what this basically, God, I think, used this scenario just to show me, look, man, you knew going to hang out with this dude for 2 days was just going to be, it was going to be a waste of time, man. You know it's empty and vain, bro, this lifestyle. Okay? But he just had, that for me, that was the final nail in the coffin, man. I knew I had to go all in with God. I was like, there's really nothing to go back to at this point. Let me just keep seeking the truth, man. Let me keep seeking God, figure out whether he's real or not, which eventually I did find out he was real, and I surrendered my life to him. But every day, man, you guys are out there, bro. Be aware of the fact that you're all internally thirsty, man, and y'all got a neediness inside, man, and that can manifest into different addictions, man. And those addictions will run your life and become self-destructive with time. That's what I'm trying to say throughout all this, man. Check that. Just be self-aware of that, bro. And just remember, I'm telling you, man, I've been there. And I know I said I don't want to preach, but I'm going to have to preach, man. Only God can fill that void, all right? Just keeping it real because I love you guys, man. But my new slogan is, what is my new slogan? I'm not trying to tell y'all what to do. Just giving you something to think about. All right? I love you guys. God bless you all. I will see you in the next one.